It is my pleasure to call up a major partner in the Colel Chabad enterprise, Alex Blavatnik from the Blavatnik Family Foundation.
Before I read my prepared statement, I want to thank Colel Chabad, Rabbi Sholem Duchman, his wonderful wife, Fege. I don't know where you are, but I know you're here. Their equally incredibly dedicated 12 kids, and the extended family, which is, I keep meeting new Duchmans, and they're all incredible. And I want to thank everyone here for supporting this amazing organization. So thank you. The most challenging job at the United Nations is that of Israel's ambassador. Every day, he must walk into a den of wolves, a virtual club of the darkest, most anti-democratic, and most hateful forces in today's world. And there he battles on behalf of the one beacon of light, Israel. To do this takes great intelligence, tremendous courage, and tremendous courage. It is my great pleasure to introduce Israel's envoy to the United Nations, His Excellency Ambassador Danon.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. It is my great pleasure to be here tonight with esteemed honorees and guests. Rabbi Duchman, יישר כוח גדול for everything that you're doing day and night for the people of Israel. The work of Colel Chabad is really inspiring. We heard only a little bit tonight. Thank you for the warm introduction. I'm really honored to be here tonight. I want to thank all the recipients who supporting Chabad, people from all over the world, my friend Meir from Brazil, esteemed guests from the US, Australia. To see your love and dedication is inspiring. Colel Chabad is not only helping the poor people in Israel. Colel Chabad is enabling the people in Israel not to become second-generation poor. I'm inspired by your commitment to providing the needs for the less fortunate with dignity. And you're doing a great job, Rabbi. But one thing I found very, very tremendous is the daycare. The daycare that allows women to go and work and allow the families to have an opportunity to live with dignity in the land of Israel. Mr. Blavatnik mentioned my role in the UN. So I have been here only a few months, but it feels like few years. I haven't finished unpacking my luggage, and already I had to deal with emergency session in the Security Council. In the UN, when you say Security Council meeting about the Middle East, you don't talk about Syria, Iraq, Yemen. When you hear Middle East, it's only about Israel. We had an initiative to send observers to the Temple Mount and a proposal to declare the Western Wall a Muslim holy site. All that in 1 month. For most countries, it would have been a crisis. For us, for Israel, it is just another day at the UN. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the people of Israel are facing a difficult time. A tide of terror has washed over Israel, and everyone, everyone is a target, men and women, young and old. In the wave of violence, 23 people have been killed, including recently 5 in one day, and hundreds have been injured. And yet, the UN is silent. That is why I chose in my last speech at the General Assembly to read the names and to show the faces of the victims of terror in the United Nations. The blood of innocent Israelis murdered by Palestinian terrorists is no less precious than the blood of victims of terror in France or anywhere else in the world. We all know what is the real intention of the terrorists. They want us to feel unsafe in our own land, to feel unsafe in our own cities, in our own streets. But let me assure you, if our enemies are testing our resolve, they will fail. The Jewish people are strong. Israelis are strong. We have overcome suicide bombing and rockets, and we will overcome this cruel, vicious campaign of stabbings and stonings and shootings. The real test is for the international community. Will they do something? Will they stand with the only democracy in the Middle East? I think we all know the answer to that question. We all know that they will continue to be silent regarding Israel. When the UN calls, and I quote, both sides to show restraint. Can you explain to me what is both sides? There is only one side which is instigating, inciting, and the other side is Jews who want to live peacefully in the land of Israel. So I cannot accept this equation of both sides. Instead of holding the Palestinians accountable, many in the UN want to reward them with flags and favors. President Abbas incites, and he's saying that we are taking over Jerusalem, and I quote, "We welcome every drop of blood spilled in Jerusalem." But still, the UN is silent. When President Abbas lies about Israel's intentions on the Temple Mount and says, and I quote him again, Israel intends to make Al-Aqsa Jewish in order to spark violence. After that, France decided it wants to send international observers to the Temple Mount. Let me be clear on it. There will be no international observers in Yerushalayim, in Har HaBayit, in the Temple Mount. Yerushalayim is our eternal capital of the Jewish people, and we will not allow anyone to send any observers to our eternal capital. Ladies and gentlemen, before coming to the UN, I served in many positions in the Israeli government, in the Israeli Knesset. I was Deputy Minister of Defense. I was sure that knowing what's happening from the inside, I will get skills to defend Israel in the UN. But frankly speaking, I think my other role in the government as the Minister of Science and Technology and Space is much more relevant, because some, not all, some of the UN officials seems to live on a different planet. Last month, we had a victory, one victory, Baruch Hashem, in the UN. Israel was accepted into the UN Committee for Study and Exploration of Space. It was an important victory for us, and we are grateful for the United States for their strong support. And as former Minister of Science, Technology and Space, I can tell you we can be proud of Israel's achievement. There are only 8 countries in the world, which Israel is one of them, that can build, launch, and monitor satellites. And distinguished rabbis, we have kosher satellites now watching us and protecting the Jewish people. I'm not telling you this because I'm proud. I am proud. I am telling you this because it almost didn't happen. Some of the Arab countries, including Qatar, for example, they were not willing to vote, even though it was meaning to vote against themselves, only because Israel was on the list of the countries to get elected. But we won, and we will continue to win. This is only one example of the narrow-minded opposition Israel faces in the UN, day in and day out. Recently, the European Union adopted a decision, a shameful decision, to label products from Israel. This is a biased and unjust act, and we will make sure that this shameful decision will be revoked. And I encourage you to drink wine from Eretz Israel, to buy products from Eretz Israel. This is the real answer to those who want to label products from Eretz Israel. Last year, the General Assembly adopted 20 resolutions criticizing Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East. In comparison, for all the atrocities worldwide, east to west, including Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and around the world, the UN passed 3 resolutions. Yes, you heard me right. 20 resolutions against Israel, and only 3 for the rest of the world combined. But when we look today at the Middle East, when we see states failing, ISIS is taking control, fighting continues in Iraq, in Syria, yet the UN focus is only on Israel. And it will continue to be like that. But tonight I want to tell you we can be proud, and we should be proud of our beloved country. Israel remains a lighthouse in the middle of a storm, a beacon of freedom, stability, and democracy, standing firm against the waves of violence, hatred, and intolerance. In 67 short years, we together, all of us, we built an amazing country. Yes, we can be proud. In less than 7 decades, we have gone from making the desert bloom to launching advanced satellites into outer space. We have transformed a country, a small country, dependent on small-scale agriculture, into a global powerhouse of technology and innovation. None of this would be possible without the unshakable bond between the State of Israel and the Jewish communities around the world. Without the support of organizations like Colel Chabad, who have the passion and the unconditional love and support, Israel would not be the place we are all so proud of today. Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, I want to tell you a story that happened 30 years ago when our Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was chosen to be Israel's ambassador to the UN. He sat in the same office, Meir, that we sat yesterday. He lived in the same apartment where I live with my wife and 3 kids, and he fought against the same enemies. He went to the rabbi to get a blessing. The rabbi spoke to him in Hebrew, and he told him, I will read it first in Hebrew, אתה הולך לבית של שקרים, תזכור ששם במקום חשוך לגמרי, אם תדליק נר אחד קטן, האור ייראה למרחוק. You are going to a house of lies. Just remember that in that dark place, if you light one small candle, it can be seen from a distance, and everyone will see it. When I walk through the halls of the United Nations, I proudly represent the state of Israel and the Jewish people, and I carry the message of the Rabbi with me. Every day, when I walk inside the building of the UN, I pass and I see 193 flags. Many of them have the sign of the cross. Many of them have the sign of the crescent. But only one of them is carrying the Magen David. And I'm committed with your support and help to represent our country and our nation, proud and tall, defending the state of Israel. I want to thank you, all of you, for standing with the state of Israel, for loving the people of Israel with your unconditional love, with your unconditional support. We will prevail. Toda Rabba. Thank you.